Asimol, I'm going to have you go ahead and raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm any testimony you're about to give and that happening before the court is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Thank you.
And Ms. Asimol, if you'll just state your name for the court and tell the court what you would like them to know regarding sentencing Colin Gray.
My name is Shana Asimol, and I'm the wife of Berate Asimol. On September 4th, 2024, my husband left for work expecting to spend another day doing what he loved, teaching his students, coaching his players, and making a difference in their lives. He never came home. Ricky was the love of my life and the heart of our family. He was an incredible husband and an amazing father to our daughters. Everything he did was for us. He celebrated our victories, carried us through our struggles, and made our home a place filled with love, laughter, and security. To the world, Ricky was a math teacher and a football coach. To his students, he was someone who believed in them, challenged them, and encouraged them. To the players he coached, he was a mentor who taught far more than football. To my daughters, he was an amazing and loving father that would protect them. To me, he was my best friend, my partner, and the person I expected to grow old with. Ricky and I both shared a passion of teaching and coaching. I was a high school teacher as well, but can no longer teach in the classroom. Due to suffering with PTSD from the trauma of September 4th. What if another student shot me at school? My kids would have no parents because we were both teachers that aspired to help students learn, not be on the front line. Now, our daughters must grow up without their father. They will miss his guidance, his encouragement, his hugs, and all the milestones he should have been here to witness. Birthdays, graduations, weddings, and everyday moments that make up a lifetime will forever be marked by his absence. Colin harped on being a single parent and the struggles that entails in his testimony. He was a single parent by choice. I am now a solo parent because of his actions and lack of parenting. He was a pathetic excuse for a father, but he was not. He was an amazing dad to two little girls that loved him with his whole heart. My kids were 5 and 2 when he was killed. Psychologically, kids cannot truly process and understand death until the ages of 5 and 6. My now 4-year-old thinks her daddy is still at football practice and wishes he could come home. My now 7-year-old, who is a daddy's girl, spends time going to therapy because she struggled with the grief of losing her dad. Colin could not take his son to therapy, therefore I have to take mine. Ricky got to see her on her first day of kindergarten, but not her last. I've had to learn how to navigate a life I never imagined living. Every morning, I wake up hoping, even for a split second, that this was all a nightmare. Then reality returns. The empty space beside me, the silence in our home, and the questions our daughters ask are constant reminders that our lives have been permanently changed. The trauma the students and teachers faced by seeing my husband lay dead on the floor of the hallway because Colin could not be a responsible gun owner. He did not pull the trigger, but purchased and left a firearm accessible to a minor. My husband was a responsible gun owner that properly locked his guns up away from our children. No sentence can restore what was taken from us. No punishment can give my husband back to his family or erase the pain that has become part of our daily lives. But I ask the court to remember that this case is about more than the lives that ended that day. It is also about the families left behind who must carry the grief and trauma for the rest of our lives. I hope Ricky is remembered not only for the way he died, but for the way he lived. He lived with kindness, integrity, compassion, and courage. He dedicated his life to helping others, and even in his final moments, he was doing what came naturally to him, protecting the students entrusted to his care. Our family will carry his love with us always, but we will always carry the weight of the loss for the rest of our lives. Thank you for allowing me to speak on behalf of my husband and our family.
Thank you. I assume you have...
No questions, Judge.
If you do, just...
I will stand up.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
individual we're going to call is Rick Aspinwall. Mr. Aspinwall, I'm going to have you go ahead and raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm any testimony you're about to give in the matter now coming before the court is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right. If you'll just state your name and tell the judge what you'd like him to know in the sentencing of Colin Gray.
I'm Richard William Asimol, Ricky's stepfather. Mr. Gray, I hope you remember me from our first meeting. After all the testimony I've heard, witnessed, I find it hard to believe that you had any idea of what you were doing for raising a son. Due to your ineptitude, your lack of situational awareness, you're responsible for all this that's happened. I can't see it any other way. And I hope to God that you sit somewhere in a corner and just remember everything that you're responsible for.
Thank you.
Judge, next we're going to call up Ansley Gossit.
You said Gossit.
Yes, sir. I believe it's G-O-S-S-E-T-T. Ms. Gossit, I'm going to have you go ahead and raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm any testimony you're about to give in the matter now coming before the court is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you'll just state your name and tell the judge what you want him to know in Colin Gray's sentencing.
Good morning. My name's Ansley Aspinwall Gossit. I am the sibling of Ricky Aspinwall. I was there the day we brought Ricky home from the hospital, and I was there the day we laid Ricky to rest. The amount of anger that has gone through me and my family is unspeakable. My brother was nothing but supportive, caring, loving, and he could hate the fact that I couldn't throw football. He tried to teach me. But we're just left with the biggest hole in our heart that can never be replaced. Words just cannot express, the extreme sadness for our family and the other families that have been impacted by this stupid act of irresponsible parenting. I'm a parent to 4 kids. My 2 youngest will never get to know their Uncle Ricky because he was gone before they could know him. My 2 oldest were there the day we laid Ricky to rest, and they cried uncontrollably in my arms. And there's nothing I could do to stop their tears. I know as a parent I would never actively leave a gun available to my child, no matter their age. Even if they were of age, I would not let it be accessible. And because of this, we are here today giving testimony because guns were left available to a young child that thought he was doing something incredible. It was such incredibly stupid. I feel like this man deserves the maximum sentence possible and should never have a slight chance of freedom again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Judge, next we're going to call Brenda Sternhorn. Then raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm any testimony you're about to give in the matter now pending before the court is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? So go ahead, state your name and tell the judge what you want to know in Colin Gray's sentencing.
My name is Brenda Sternhorn, and I'm the mother of Mason Sternhorn. I've spent countless sleepless nights asking myself how we ended up here. How my beautiful son Mason, a boy who should still have an entire lifetime ahead of him, is instead confined to an urn on my dresser. And it's hard around my neck that I wear every single day. No parent should have to carry their child that way. Throughout his trial, I repeatedly heard Mr. Gray lean on the excuse that he was a newly single father. And I reject that excuse completely. Parenting is hard. Parenting alone is even harder. I know that because I lived it. I was a single teenage mother raising my daughter Mlehan while I was still trying to grow up myself. I didn't have the years of life experience. I didn't have the financial security. I didn't have the support system that Mr. Gray had. Every decision I made mattered because my child depended on me. Was I a perfect parent? Absolutely not. I struggled. I made mistakes. But there's a world of difference between struggling to parent and refusing to parent. Mr. Gray was not an overwhelmed teenager trying to figure life out. He was a grown man. He had years of experience, countless opportunities, and repeated warnings. He wasn't left guessing. He was told. He saw the warning signs. He heard about the disturbing behavior. He knew his son was in crisis. And instead, instead of acting, he chose to look away. Instead of intervening, he chose inaction. Instead of protecting his son from himself and protecting our community from the danger his son posed, he armed him. That wasn't an accident. That wasn't bad luck. That wasn't simply poor judgment. That was a choice. A choice that handed a troubled teenager the very weapon that was later used to murder my son, along with Christian, Ricky, and Christina. People keep calling this a tragedy. And it was. The tragedies are unavoidable. This wasn't unavoidable. This was preventable. Because of the choices made inside the Gray household, 4 families were handed life sentences of grief. Mason will never graduate. He will never fall in love. He will never build the career he dreamed of. He will never marry. We will never hear his laugh outside of old videos. We will never be able to wrap our arms around him again. Every birthday, every holiday, every family gathering, every milestone will forever be defined by the person who should be there but never will. And it wasn't just our families that were robbed. An entire school lost a sense of safety. Children who should have been worried about homework now carrying memories of gunfire. Teachers who dedicated their lives to protecting children were forced into an unimaginable nightmare. Our community will never be the same. Even as a young single mother, I understood something that Mr. Gray apparently did not. I could not control every choice my children would eventually make, but I was responsible for controlling what I put into their hands. I was responsible for getting them to school, making sure they saw doctors when they needed help, protecting them from harm, even when that harm came from themselves. That is what parenting is. Parenting is not about convenience. It's not about avoiding difficult conversations. It's not about pretending warning signs don't exist because dealing with them is uncomfortable. Parenting requires responsibility. It requires sacrifice. It requires showing up, especially when it's hard. I remained a single parent until I met my husband. I know exactly what that burden feels like. So when I hear Mr. Gray use a single parenthood to justify what happened, I don't hear an explanation, I hear an excuse. And excuses do not bring my son home. Mr. Gray had every opportunity to make different choices, every opportunity to be the parent his son desperately needed, and every opportunity to prevent what happened. Instead, my son died because of decisions made inside their home before anyone ever walked into Apalachee High School on September 4th, 2024. I carry the unimaginable weight of losing Mason every day. Nothing this court does today can bring him home to me. Nothing can give back Christian to his family and nothing can restore Ricky or Christina to the people who love them. But I hope this court doesn't lose sight of simple truth. Children depend on adults to make responsible decisions. When adults abandon that responsibility, innocent people pay the price. We pay with our children. Masons deserve better. Every student and every teacher who walked into that school deserve better. And while Mr. Gray will eventually leave the courtroom, I will never leave my sentence. I will spend the rest of my life carrying an unimaginable weight of a future that was stolen, not by fate, but by someone, and not by some unforeseeable act, but by preventable decisions made by a father who chose not to be when what mattered most. Mr. Gray should not only live with what his son did, he should also live every single day with what he failed to do. And I will ask the court that his punishment fit the failures of his choices. Thank you.
Thank you.
Judge, I will call Wallace Sternhorn. Mlehan, have raised your right hand. Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give in the matter now pending before the court is the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, you'll just tell the judge your name and tell him what you want him to know when Colin Gray says.
My name is Wallace from Wallace. Before I talk about the choices that led us here today, I want to talk about those choices, who those choices affected. Mason was not just a victim of a tragedy. He was a 14-year-old who had a family who loved him, friends who cared about him, and a future that was supposed to continue. He's my little brother. Mason was the type of person who made people feel seen. He had a kindness about him that was rare. He looked for the good in people even when they did not always show it themselves. And he accepted people without judgment and treated everyone like they mattered. This is what makes the loss so difficult to understand. Mason was not someone who was supposed to become a victim. He was supposed to come home that day. He was supposed to continue growing. He was supposed to experience everything that comes after being 14 years old. He was supposed to graduate, build friendships, discover his future, and become the person we all knew he could potentially be. Instead, his life ended because the adults who had the responsibility to recognize danger and prevent harm failed to do so. The hardest part for me is knowing that Mason's death was not something my family could have prevented. We did not have the warning signs. We did not have the opportunities to intervene. We were simply the people left to suffer the consequences. While my family was planning a future with Mason in it, decisions were made that allowed the future to be taken away. The impact of losing Mason has affected every part of my life. Since September 4th, 2024, I've had to learn how to live a life how to live in a world where my little brother is no longer in it. I've had to continue growing up while carrying a loss that has changed me forever. One of the hardest parts is knowing that Mason was supposed to be here for all the moments that come next. I will continue getting older while Mason will remain 14. I'll graduate one day, but he will not. I'll experience future birthdays, holidays, and milestones, knowing there's someone missing. There are moments where I still want to tell Mason something. I see something he would have liked, think of a joke he would have laughed at, or remember a game that we used to play. And for a moment, I forget that I cannot share those things with him anymore. Then I remember that's something I have to live with forever. This loss has also changed the way I see the world. I no longer have the same sense of safety I had before. School no longer feels like the place it once did. Every time I walk into a school building, a thought immediately crosses my mind. If this can happen to Mason, then why can't it happen to me? I find myself paying attention to exits, watching the people around me, and thinking about things I never had to think of before. While trying to grieve my brother, I was also expected to continue being a full-time college student. I missed classes to attend court because being here for Mason matters to me. But for me to not get kicked out of the classes, I have to provide documentation proving that my brother was killed in this tragedy. Having to hand over these documents is just another painful reminder that this wasn't just a nightmare that I'm living in. Every hearing forced me to relive the worst day of my life. I had to hear details no sister should ever have to hear, and evidence no family should ever have to see. Those memories don't stay in the courtroom. When the hearing ends, they follow me everywhere. Grief isn't just anniversaries or birthdays. It appears in ordinary moments. I'll see a game update and think about how Mason would have loved it. I'll hear a joke and instinctively want to tell him. For a split second, I forget he's gone. Then I remember, and that realization never gets easier. I'm still moving forward, but I'm moving forward without someone who's supposed to be beside me. That is the reality my family has been left with. When I think about Mr. Gray's role in this tragedy, I think about the responsibility that comes with being a parent. Parents are supposed to protect their children. They're supposed to recognize when something is wrong, take concern seriously, and step in when their children's actions create a danger to themselves or others. That responsibility is not fulfilled. This tragedy did not begin on September 4th, 2024. There were warning signs before that day. There were opportunities to make different choices. There were moments where action could have been taken that may have changed the outcome. But what is hardest for me to accept is that the people in that school did not have the opportunity to protect themselves from decisions being made around them. They went to school that morning expecting a normal day, and the 4 we lost deserved to come home. But because the warning signs were not taken seriously enough, and because the responsibility to prevent harm was not handled the way it should have been, my family is left living with a loss that will never go away. But what makes this even harder to accept is that this was not a situation where there were no signs. There were moments where action could have been taken. There were opportunities to step in before people were injured or killed. After his son made threats and showed signs of concerning behavior, the danger was still allowed to remain. The firearms were still accessible. The ammunition, whatever that word is, ammo, was still accessible. The things that could have been secured were not handled with the urgency that they required. Mr. Gray had gun locks, but having a safety measure means nothing if it's not used when it matters most. The gun should have been locked away. Ammo should have been secured. There should not have been a possibility that a 14-year-old child could have access to tools needed to carry out something like this. What's difficult to understand is that there were concerns serious enough to create fear, yet those concerns did not lead to this level of action that was needed. If a parent is afraid of what their child may do, that fear should lead to a reason to protect others. It should be a reason to remove access to anything that could cause harm. It should be a reason to seek immediate help and intervention. Instead, the danger continued to exist until it became a tragedy that my family has to live with forever. I understand that no one can change what happened on September 4th. Nothing said in this courtroom can bring Mason back to my family. But accountability matters because Mason's life mattered. I understand that no one can change. He was not supposed to become the result of a series of missed warnings and failed decisions. He's supposed to continue living his life. He's supposed to grow up, make mistakes, chase his dreams, and become the person he's meant to be. Instead, my family has to live with the consequences of choices we never made. We have to wake up every day knowing that Mason is gone. We have to celebrate milestones knowing there's someone missing. We have to imagine the future he should have had because we will never get to see it happen. Mr. Gray had opportunities to make different choices. He had opportunities to take action to protect his son, to protect others. My family did not have an opportunity to stop what happened. Mason did not have an opportunity to come home. That is the difference. A decision was made that changed countless lives forever, and people who suffered the most were the ones who had no part in making that decision. Mason deserved better. Christian deserved better. Christina deserved better. Richard deserved better. Everyone in that school and in this community deserved better. I understand that no sentence can erase the pain that my family has lived through since September 4th. However, I do believe Mr. Gray should be held fully accountable for the role his decisions played in this tragedy. Because of that, I respectfully ask to impose the maximum sentence allowed by law. I ask for the maximum sentence not out of revenge, but because the consequences of these failures were irreversible. 4 innocent people lost their lives. Many others were physically and emotionally wounded, and countless families, including mine, will carry this loss for the rest of our lives. No sentence will ever be equal to what was taken from us. But I do hope the sentence imposed today reflects the seriousness of Mr. Gray's responsibility and the immeasurable value of the lives that will forever change.
Thank you, Mom.
Okay, next we're going to call up Junior Anglo. Raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm any testimony you're about to give in the matter of opening for the court is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, if you'll tell the judge your name and what you want us to know.
My name is Ismael Angulo Jr. I'm the oldest sibling of Cristian Gabriel Angulo. Your Honor, even though he didn't pull the trigger himself, I am asking this court to give him the absolute maximum sentence possible. He is a complete failure of a father. He made a choice to buy that rifle. He made a choice to ignore every red flag. And because of his choices, my little brother Christian and 3 others, Mason, Coach Asimol, and Ms. Ermi are gone. And so many others will carry permanent scars for the rest of their lives. A parent's negligence shouldn't cost innocent children their lives. He built this tragedy at Apalachee High School. He showed no remorse. To him, it was just another Wednesday. He deserves every single day of the maximum sentence possible. Our families are living a lifelong sentence of grief, and he should face the full weight of his. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just next, we're going to bring up Terry McElhannon on behalf of Taylor Jones. Mr. McElhannon, do you raise your right hand? Do you swear affirm any testimony you're about to give in the matter happening for the court is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, if you'll state your name and tell the judge what you want him to know in this hearing.
My name is Terry McElhannon. I'm the grandfather of Taylor Jones. Why are we here today? It's because of him. His actions and his neglect are responsible for what happened here. Though he did not shoot the gun, he bought the bullets that enabled his son to kill people, hurt people, mangle them for life. I was in therapy yesterday, and this guy asked me, he said, "Is that your granddaughter?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Is that where she was shot?" The wounds are still visible. She was shot more than one time, and she lingers with that every day. After 4 months in the hospital after this accident, she has endured more pain than she should have. The community has delivered and gotten more pain than they deserve because of this action. I don't know that he could be remembered by being what he thinks he is, cold, but he will be remembered, but not in my thoughts. Let me tell you a little bit about Taylor, what led up to this, and can it get worse? Taylor lost her mom from an L-bed heart pump 4 years ago, which stopped up with a blood clot and killed her. Can it get worse? Yes, it does. She lost her grandmother that drowned in Lake Erie a year later. She lost her great-grandmother, my wife, which died with dementia the 3rd year. She lost her uncles, and she lost my brother, which she called Papa too, because anyway, I won't tell you what he died of, but it's been sad. I think, can it get any worse? Fist comes along. This has tormented us for a long, long time. She contemplated suicide in the hospital because of so much pain she was in. She couldn't get over it. And she didn't want to live. She wanted to go see her mama. Can it get worse? It does. We're here today. Because of what he did, even though he didn't shoot, he bought the bullets. And for that, he deserves the maximum punishment. Thank you.
Thank you.